and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Oh boy.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 10. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and finally some cooler temperatures after a blistering hot day. I asked you guys on Facebook earlier, what are some different ways to say it's hot? Because it gets so old saying the same old here at Mississippi Live Weather. So you guys gave me quite a few options. One of the things that we'll be looking at is those quotes, some of the favorite quotes that I saw from the comments, and just hearing different ways that we can describe what has been a miserable forecast. So hot temperatures, they remain the story. So that it's hot forecast, that some folks use different wording for, that's what we'll be able to talk about here momentarily. Trouble brewing in the tropics, trouble's a stretch, but at least there is some more activity that we're going to talk about that will be driving our rain chances moving forward. And of course, how to say it's hot, we'll be walking through that as well. We'll also hear from Chief Meteorologist Matt Laupon. I should have included 15 more headlines because this show is action-packed and it's going to be an exciting 10 o'clock broadcast. And we thank you guys so much for joining us here tonight. 81 degrees in Starkville, seeing it right there, but still feels like 90. So that tells you that humidity factor going to continue to remain a big part of our forecast moving forward. This is a live look on the campus of Mississippi State and getting a live look over and around Macon, Noxubee County, 82 feeling like 90. And just pitch black skies, luckily clear skies. So if you're looking to view that meteor shower, might be able to get a good shot of it tonight. As you can see, with a lot of that moisture remaining back out there towards Alabama. I'm going to put this on a loop and have you guys watch. I'm going to stand over here because there's where the action took place. Nowhere near North Mississippi. We're seeing that primarily towards Franklin and Marion County, the closest counties in our viewing area that were affected by that rainfall. But even that, it is a sliver moving on the east side of Highway 43 and back around Jasper, just barely missing us here in northwest Alabama, some of our folks out there, but missing us entirely here in North Mississippi. So it's definitely been a dry time. It's been an active pattern for others though. And I do want to show, later, I will show you guys tomorrow, talking about some of those storm reports, but lots of storm reports happening even from southern Tennessee, right north of Huntsville, having some of those storm reports with trees blown over, and a lot of storm reports out here with still some of those flash flood warnings. So shows you, yes, we want rainfall, but we don't want any of that. And that's what's associated with that tropical system that's going to be moving closer to us, moving into the weekend. Not significantly high rain chances, and it's not going to be nearly the impacts like what we saw on Saturday with that tropical system that moved through previously. Satellite imagery showing you exactly that, with a lot of that moisture sticking out there towards the tropics, the Atlantic, and then transitioning into the Gulf. That's really where it will remain. And here in North Mississippi, we are right on the outskirts of that heat dome. Whenever we talk about a boundary, there you go. So we are basically the outline of that heat dome as of right now. So keeping things clear, but keeping things hot. And we're not going to have too much relief from that heading into our Wednesday either. So over the first 12, basically going to be a better forecast temperature-wise, but that's subjectively speaking, or relatively speaking, should I say. Tomorrow morning, still well above average. By the time we're 8 a.m., we're talking 83 degrees. That's still pretty muggy and miserable, even as we're heading out the door. Someone described it as the air just being so thick you can't even take a breath outside, or at least catch your breath for that matter. So that just shows you that hot, sticky air still sticking around for our forecast. There's your low that we're watching, and that's currently moving over the coast of Florida towards the Atlantic, moving through Jacksonville, will then make its way into the Gulf, probably by tomorrow morning or by lunchtime. So watching exactly the path of that low, where it goes and what it does, but it'll be driving this high pressure out of here, and that high pressure, that's been what's been keeping us dry. But the difference in this low compared to the low we had last week is this is going to take more of a southerly approach. So we're talking as far south as, I mean, there's not a pinpoint location, but basically not riding the Florida coastline. So what that means is there's definitely some potential that it could increase in strength, but we're not really expecting significant tropical development. We'll talk more about that coming up at the latter part of the show of just what those projections are, and they are not overly significant. We're not very confident of this developing into anything at all. What it will do is bring some of those bands of moisture even as far north as North Mississippi, but just how much impact we'll have, that's still something that we're questioning this far out. So Wednesday, I mean, here's a look right here as we head through our forecast, that low transitioning over Florida, basically right over the top of Jacksonville at that point, that then continues to move further into the Gulf. And that's where it'll start to build strength yet again, because this is still a primed environment. It's got warm water, very little shear, so it's going to allow it to at least strengthen into more bands of rainfall, more significant thunderstorms. But as of right now, expecting any tropical development, but keeping eyes on this. And I'll zoom back just to show you North Mississippi, but there was a reason why I wasn't showing you North Mississippi. Nothing happens. A lot of the action actually sticking out there towards the low, and that's where those bands of moisture will be associated with. This frontal boundary that's extending right through the low, that's going to keep a lot of the moisture associated with it. One thing that this model is doing, and you see this is one of our short-range models that we call the HRRR, or the HRRR, that's basically walking you through what's going to happen over the next 48 hours. And what it's doing is it's projecting this frontal boundary to have way more moisture associated with it than what we're expecting it to have, because this high pressure is much more dominant for our forecast than that frontal boundary is. So we're paying attention to that, but we're not expecting significant impacts from that frontal boundary, at least for our Wednesday afternoon. Could we see a few showers? Yes. But are we going to see widespread impacts with significant rainfall totals? No, that's not going to be in the immediate forecast. Over the next 24, rainfall chances are not high, possible, but just not high for your 3 to 6 p.m. hour. That's the usual threshold for those showers and thunderstorms to develop. But I mean, you can see all day long, it's going to be that heat that we're tracking here at the Room to Room Weather Center. So just buckle up for another hot forecast. Moving into the next 60, though, we have an exciting next block to talk to you guys about. One of those being How to Say It's Hot, and one of my favorite segments, and I know you guys are going to love some of the quotes that we had. We also have Weather Watcher pictures, not from here, from down in the coast where the action's starting to pick up, and then we're going to be tracking more on that tropical system and just what that means for our rain chances moving forward. All the reason to stick with us here in the next minute.
You need some help?
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire. I could show you how to secure them properly if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Well, hey there, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon here as we're concluding another day here in Victoria, Canada, our second, and it has been a wonderful day of touring many of the different areas. Behind me, you see there, that's the House of Parliament here in Victoria. I had a chance to look at that today. Really kind of cool because this is the provincial capital. Think of it kind of like the state capital here of British Columbia, and certainly decorated in excellent way. The harbor here has been in use since obviously the 1800s and still in use today. A lot of fishing boats, but also leisure boats coming in and out of that. We've obviously had a great time up here in Canada. We do head back to Seattle. That's going to be tomorrow that we do that as we head back stateside, but certainly yet another wonderful day here in British Columbia that we have certainly enjoyed. A lot of history in this area, and it's been kind of fun to be able to see that in more of an urban setting than a lot of our Rocky Mountain journey. For Mississippi Live Weather, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
You know, Matt was whale watching earlier. I don't know how I misheard him on the phone. I thought he was bear watching, but he was whale watching, and he did tell us that he was going to try and get some video. So I'm hopeful that that'll come in for tomorrow evening, that you guys will be able to see some of the shots that he saw and walk us through, you know, what whale watching is like. I've personally never been. I would love to go at some point, but yeah, shout out to him. I saw him all bundled up too. I was just like, Matt, rub it in, right? But we're going to go from one coast to another coast, back in the Gulf Coast. Brittany and PCB submitting this great shot of a shelf cloud. If you were wondering where your rain was, well, Brittany was hogging it down at PCB. No, it's just one of those tropical systems that are cycling in a good bit of that moisture, but this was an impressive shelf moving across the coast right there. So hopefully you weren't out in this. Hopefully the beach, it doesn't look too crowded, as you can see at the bottom of the screen right there, but yeah, hopefully they weren't out on the water, because that was a decent thunderstorm rolling through around that time. Temperatures right now, this is the good part of the day, because temperatures aren't overwhelming as of this point. We're talking 83 Tupelo, 83 Boonville, 79 towards Oxford, and 81 Corinth and Iuka. So they are trending better, but it's still going to be above average as we head overnight. Just going to be that Mississippi mugginess that we're dealing with. So overnight tonight, we're talking about that slow decrease, so still going to remain above average, only dropping to about 77 as our low tomorrow morning. So morning commute's still going to need that AC going. But then we start at 77. Look at how we just explode temperature-wise into the mid-90s, and that's by 11 a.m. So it shows you the warming trend that we're going to be in. We're not done with that hot weather just yet, and it'll continue to remain hot into the foreseeable future. So day planner on your Wednesday, not really rain chances we're tracking. It's going to be the heat yet again. 93 as we get closer to 12. I know some models were showing 95, 96 by 11 or 12. So just go ahead and buckle up for a hot day ahead. 97 as we get towards 3. And that cloud cover does build there towards the afternoon. That's that chance of rainfall that we'll see, but not overly high on those rain chances. And we'll walk through that right here. So Futurecast overnight shows that cloud cover starting to build just a bit. But what we're watching is this frontal boundary that's going to try and linger over North Mississippi, producing at least a few isolated showers for our Wednesday. So Wednesday morning, we're waking up. It should be on the drier side for our day just because of that heat dome that we've been under as we walked through yesterday. And I'll reassess it here. I'll include the graphic tomorrow evening. How about that? And we'll go through it again. But heat domes, of course, trap that heat right over the top of us, hence why it's so hot. But it also forces a lot of the moisture away. So that's why we haven't seen blankets of clouds covering the sky. We haven't seen any rain chances as of this point, just that heat dome dominating our forecast, and it will continue to do so for our Wednesday. So low temperatures tomorrow morning above average in the mid to upper 70s. And as we're also watching, Futurecast on our Wednesday morning, that stationary front, that's what we're talking about for that possibility of isolated showers. I say possibility. It's really an unlikely possibility because of just that heat dome that we're talking about. That lingers into our Wednesday afternoon as well. So all of this moisture that's popping up, yes, it is possible to have a few isolated showers. Really foresee that by the mid to late afternoon. But overall, it is going to be a dry day and a hot day because it is so dry. But that's why we'll welcome any rain cooled air that there is, because it'll cool off some of us. So those isolated showers popping up by 1:30 at the earliest, those continue to pop up towards 3, 4, 5 o'clock. Just not expecting it to be as widespread as what we're seeing here. Now, don't get me wrong. All of North Mississippi could see an isolated shower tomorrow afternoon, but still so isolated in nature, not everybody's going to get it. And more than likely, a lot of us are going to be disappointed rather than grateful that the rain has happened, because it's just not going to be over the top of us. So have the rain gear in the back seat just in case, but don't go into the day expecting that rain to happen. Further into the evening, we do see those showers still trying to pop up, and that's just going to be behind that frontal boundary. But a lot of that activity I really have primarily towards Alabama. So not as widespread as what models are projecting, but still the possibility is there. 10, 20, maybe up to 30% for our Alabama counties. High temperatures, mid to upper 90s, still expected, with some of us lingering in the triple digits. Greenwood, Clarksdale, all the way southwest towards Greenville. That's what we're watching for, the potential for triple digits. Yes, still in that forecast, with heat indices 110 plus for a lot of locations encompassing all of North Mississippi. So those extreme heat warnings that are in place are because those heat indices are even higher than what they were at today for a lot of locations, primarily towards the northeast side of Mississippi. So Wednesday into the rest of the evening, you can see that moisture that's out there towards Alabama. Again, that's the primary area that we're watching for the threat of rainfall to be in place. But as the days go on and we enter towards Thursday, we enter towards Friday, rain chances do start to climb just a bit. I mean, you see that moisture forming, at least trying to form, for the morning of our Thursday. Now, I personally, based off what I've seen on model runs and honestly what we've seen the past couple of days, see this as an overestimate. And while I think there's rainfall that does happen, again, I think that models are overshooting how much rainfall we'll see. And so not going to be widespread impact. Still plan on watering the gardens. Still plan on watering yourself, staying hydrated through the day. Because whenever it's that drier forecast, it is going to make us more susceptible to that heat. And so we need to stay hydrated and stay cool through the day. So Thursday, yes, it is showing some rainfall. And hopefully that does verify. But what we've seen over the past couple of days is those rain chances, little to none. And more none than anything at all. So 10 p.m. still remaining on the drier side, and that continues into the overnight hours for our Friday. Friday looking a bit more higher in regards to rain chances, and we'll see that here momentarily. High temperatures, mid-90s across the region with still upper 90s to triple digits possible in the Delta. I do foresee the excessive, or should I say extreme heat warnings to be in effect for the Delta for our Thursday. But those excessive heat advisories becoming a bit more widespread, encompassing more of the northeast side of the state. So warning, advisory, that's how you divide it. Basically that 55 split that we're used to. So current alerts, again, it's that extreme heat warning encompassing all of North Mississippi, but I do foresee that changing or at least being drawn back to a heat advisory for a lot of the portions in the eastern part of our viewing area towards our Thursday. So this is all just through Wednesday, but current alerts across the South. I mean, this is the Mid-South, typical July fashion, right? With the heat advisories and heat warnings in effect, heat watches down there towards the coastal regions. Along with all of this, we have a tropical system that's at least trying to form there in the Gulf as we head towards our Wednesday and Thursday. So as of right now, the heat dome, that's dominating our forecast. We talked earlier that heat dome moves towards the northeast, away from North Mississippi, and that's where we'll see some heightened chances of rainfall, being that our pattern is being drawn back into a much more saturated side. That tropical outlook as of right now, the storm's currently sitting in the Atlantic, moving over Jacksonville as we speak. Now that'll move into the Gulf over the next 36 hours or so. When it does, it's going to move into this primed area there a little bit more south. Before, that storm only basically rode the Florida coast into the Mississippi coast before making landfall again around Louisiana. That was not anything significant. It was just a low pressure center providing a good bit of moisture. This one is traveling much more south. And since it only gets its band so far north before it just fizzles out. And so while the threat is there for us to get at least a few isolated showers, depending on the path that this takes, our threat for rainfall looks very limited. So it's not going to be those significant rain chances like what we saw Saturday. Still expecting those to be on the drier side for our weekend, just maybe 30, possibly 40% depending on the path that this takes. You notice that the path that it's going to take is into the Texas coast. So even before where it made landfall in Louisiana, went up the Mississippi River basically, we were on the right side. That's why we got so much rainfall. Since it's moving all the way to Texas, by the time it were to make it all the way to Mississippi, if it were even to draw back that far northeast, it's going to be little to nothing left. I mean, that low is going to absolutely dissolve. But that tropical satellite shows that moving over Jacksonville as we speak. A lot of that just going to be those strong thunderstorms moving towards southern Georgia, southern Alabama. Severe thunderstorm warnings have been in place for the system. So as it moves into more of those coastal regions, Panama City, Gulf Shores, expect a few stronger thunderstorms to try to form yet again, but not expecting that for North Mississippi. Honestly, I just want a thunderstorm. I just want a shower at this point. But we're not even going to get that. Nevertheless, anything's on the severe side. So the 7-day forecast, 20% for your Wednesday, 20% for your Thursday, 30 for your Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So not overly high on rain chances, but at least a little bit of an inclination on those percentages for some better chances of showers. Beyond that, drier conditions move back in place, and you see the temperatures where they're trending 95, 96 into 98 by Tuesday. So it's going to be a hot and muggy forecast then with that little bit of a break for the weekend. So while we might not see widespread rain chances, we'll at least get a little bit of a cool down with that heat dome moving out of the area. But this was my favorite thing ever. I posted on Facebook earlier tonight, and I still want to hear them. I'm reading through every one of these comments because they are hilarious. Different ways to say it's hot. And so if you have a unique way to say it's hot, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'll probably include more of these tomorrow night because there was so many comments and I just loved every bit of them. So these were some of my favorites that I picked out, and I'm just going to read through them. So the first one was, so this is how my potatoes feel when I bake them. Exactly right. Perfect representation. It feels like an oven outside, right? This one actually made me cackle out loud. It was hilarious. I saw a bird pull a worm out of the ground using pot holders. That's creative. I've never heard that, and I've heard a lot. The air is so thick, I have to chew it up and swallow it before I can breathe. My wife had this exact reaction whenever she came by the station this evening to bring me dinner. She left and she just was like, oh my word, this is awful out here. Because it was so thick and so humid. And then the bottom one was, somebody tell God the cornbread is done. Yes, the cornbread is done. We, the people in Mississippi, are overcooked. So we'll take some of that cooler air and get some better conditions moving forward. But this was amazing to be a part of. So I'm glad that you guys were so welcoming to this and just wanting to provide your input. And please, again, I'm reading through every one of these comments, and I want to use a few more heading to our forecast tomorrow, being that it is still hot. So, or should I say, being that it is how my potatoes feel when I bake them, or the air is so thick that I have to chew it up and swallow it. So yeah, I'm gonna start using these because these are good. But I love that. Make sure to include that. And of course, make sure to download the Mississippi Live Weather app today. It's available on iOS and Android. And so you can stream us 24/7, get all the latest information. And when these forecasts do change, you'll get the latest input on that. So looking at this graphic right here, you can see at the bottom right and left of your screen, it's going to be the QR codes where you can download that app and again, get the latest information, especially where you're at. Not just the entirety of North Mississippi, but specifically like New Albany or Tishomingo or out towards South Haven, like wherever you want it to be, you'll get that forecast. And of course, we'll be tracking the tropics, looking at where that system goes and how that impacts our rain chances. And trust me, we're rooting for rain just like you guys. So we'll track all of that tomorrow at 5, 6, and 10, but make sure to tune in for the 24/7 stream, giving you the latest information all night long. Have a great night.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.